Warm greetings to all our viewers across the nation and around the globe. You are watching a special edition of Green Talk with Anil Pratap Singh on Munsif TV. Today, on the auspicious occasion of World Ocean Day, we are diving deep into the subject that defines our future of our planet. That is ocean governance, marine pollution, and India's blue economy. To enlighten us on this crucial subject, we have a very special and highly distinguished guest with us today. He is a professional, a proficient administrator, a visionary leader, and driving force behind India's maritime policies. Please welcome with me Director General of Shipping, Ministry of Shipping, Ports and Waterways, and he Additional Secretary to the Government of India, and one of the most senior IAS officers in the country, Sri Syam Jagannathanji. Respected sir, welcome to the Green Talk with Anil Pratap Singh. Thank you so much for joining us today on this global platform, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anil Pratap Singh, for this privilege, and namaskar to all your viewers and patrons.
Sir, to kick off our discussions, let us talk about sustainable maritime practices. How the ministry currently driving, ministry, I mean Ministry of Shipping, Ports and Waterways, how the ministry currently driving green shipping initiatives to actively reduce carbon emissions and marine pollution within Indian waters, sir?
See, firstly, shipping essentially just does 2 to 3% of the total carbon emissions. But shipping and its transition is very important, largely because sustainable shipping is an investment for the future.
Sir.
Ships move around 90-95% of the logistics, and that essentially then ensures that if ships are using greener fuels or alternative fuels, they would then translate to lesser carbon emissions and a better climate for tomorrow. Thirdly, since shipping is essentially a major logistic mover, alternate fuels which are net zero, these being made available in India, there are two benefits. One, India is blessed with ambient solar.
Sir.
That results in the lowest unit cost for production of a solar unit. And this then ensures that you have upstream renewable power for the downstream development and the production of green ammonia, green hydrogen, green methanol. These green fuels will shift from India's hydrocarbon dependency to green energy surplus. Now, Indian Maritime, under the lead of the Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways, already has certain specific guidelines issued. One essentially is the Green Tug Transition Program, the Harit Sagar guidelines. These are about greening of ports. The Maritime India Vision 2030 and the Amrit Kal Vision also talks about India's lead in decarbonization. In the Directorate General of Shipping, under the directions of the Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways, we are working on what is visible in the screen, National Maritime Decarbonization Policy Framework. Now, under this, there are 8 pillars. Pillar 1 is green shipping, which is about better energy efficiencies on existing vessels and converting your conventional internal combustion engines on board to alternate fuel propulsion based systems. Pillar 2 is green ports. Pillar 3 is green ship recycling, because India is strongly pushing with the Hong Kong Convention to become the foremost destination for green ship recycling. Pillar 4 is the maximum bang for the buck, because green decarbonization and transition is leading technology and needs deep capital investment. How will we commit nationally green finance are resources which will enable this transition.
Sir.
Pillar 5 is perhaps the most critical because we talk about just an equitable transition in any sector. And for maritime, India is pitching for increasing our presence of seafarers from the present 16.5% to almost 20% and above. Say tomorrow, if we are able to make 25% of the seafaring contribution of capital, human capital, globally, then 1 out of every global seafarer will be an Indian. And whether that Indian seafarer is equipped by proper training and skilling to basically have the capacities for the just transition is pillar 5, green skill development. Green fuels I have already spoken about. Green technology is technologies which, like digitalization, like maritime single window, which ensure energy efficient and smarter logistic operations, provide for basically incubation and sandboxes for basically innovative thought, for startups to basically invest in this breaking technology that is required. And pillar 8 essentially is on waste management and pollution prevention. This essentially is how Indian Maritime is engaging with sustainability and green shipping.
That is really phenomenal blueprint, sir. And actually, sir, India is emerging as a major maritime nation with a vast coastline, growing port infrastructure, and large seafaring workforce. How do you see the role of maritime sector in supporting India's blue economy and the vision of Viksit Bharat 2047? You have already narrated something, and will you please highlight some more of the visions pertaining to Viksit Bharat 2047, sir?
See, under the Honorable Prime Minister Sir's inspirational declaration of Viksit Bharat,
Sir.
India is powering itself to become the third largest, fastest, and most stable growing global economy by 2027.
Sir.
And the Honorable Prime Minister has already laid the aspirational goal of a 5 trillion GDP.
Sir.
Today, if you are looking at the blue economy's contribution to the national GDP, it comes to 4%. However, as I mentioned, 95% of your EXIM trade, which is being done by a growing economy like India, is essentially by sea. Today, what we witnessed in the Strait of Hormuz and the logistic logjam, resulting in critically impairing specific global supply lines for energy criticality for the nation, LPG, LNG, crude. That is evidence that unless the blue economy or our international trade routes are not supported by stable, safe, secure, and sustainable global supply lines, the criticality of the growth target for India to consistently grow at 7 to 7.5% of compounded annual growth rate will not be a feasibility, meaning the blue economy is critical to India's growth. And this has multiple components other than mercantile marine, which is shipping, and port operations and logistics. It includes fisheries and aquaculture. It includes coastal and cruise tourism. It includes marine biotechnology and deep ocean exploitation of the mineral seabed. And all of these together, as has been rightly said, with the 11,000 plus kilometers of coastline, offers huge potential and support to India's economic aspirations.
And one more thing, sir. Actually, India has recently introduced a series of landmark maritime legislative reforms in 2025, sir. And recently, on I think 17th of January, there was a major agreement, BBNJ, Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction Agreement, has been enacted, and now it is said to be Ocean Law 2026. And could you, sir, please explain the significance of these reforms and how they will contribute to the modernization, competitiveness, and ease of doing business in India's maritime sector, sir?
So, firstly, the importance of having the right and enabling framework is of criticality.
Sir,
The year 2025 was a watershed year for maritime legislation in India.
sir,
As you can see on the screen, the several acts which were there were upgraded and they have been brought to speed with the international conventions that have been acceded to. The Merchant Shipping Act has gone through thorough revision. It will now enable aspects such as wreck removal. It will enable aspects such as the salvage economy. It will empower the easier facilitation of vessel owning and registration, including ship recycling. So, the Merchant Shipping Act, which earlier had as its integral part the Coastal Shipping Act, has been brought into a separate legislation, which is the Coastal Shipping Act 2025, to give an extremely focused niche on shipping for the coasting trade.
sir,
Here, bringing in aspects such as cabotage, bringing in feeder services for motherships, which are basically coming to major ports which will become transshipment hubs, such as the proposed deepwater port of Vadua, the port of Whittingham, and the transshipment hub of Galathea. These will leverage India's major positioning on the strategic maritime map as a major transshipment hub.
commendable,
The
sir.
the specific acts of revision of the Indian Ports Act 2025 allows the landowner model and also for concessionaire agreements and greater flexibility to the port authorities.
Sir,
The shift which is happening in terms of greater cargo now being handled by private ports vis-a-vis government ports is a reality, and the greater participation in terms of public-private partnership for terminal management and for multiple services as concessionaires in ports is resulting in economies of scale and economies of efficiencies, where private participation is driving higher ease of doing business. And India, essentially, as a maritime nation, is turning a huge regulatory framework chapter and revising itself completely, which will be evident in the rapid exponential growth that will be witnessed by these enabling legislations.
that's really great, sir. That's really great, and this is really phenomenal kind of roadmaps we are having in for this domain, sir. And look, moving forward, sir. Actually, if we are talking about green transition and maritime sector, sir, the global maritime industry is undergoing a significant green transitioning, as you have already narrated, and I regularly attend this conference of parties of United Nations convention. Everywhere, actually, we are shifting, moving towards the just transition is our global mandate, and there is also a divide from the global south and global north. But how the maritime industry, this green transition, what are some of the key initiatives being undertaken by your esteemed Director General of Shipping in support of this decarbonization and sustainable maritime development in India? You have already narrated something, but I need some more specific things, sir, particularly decarbonization. You have already mentioned the newer, the green fuels also. So, will you please, sir, highlight some more upon decarbonization and sustainable maritime development of India?
Sir, we are fully conscious of the fact that these two will be the edifical pillars, or the foundational pillars, which will hold up maritime transformation,
Sir,
technology, and sustainability.
sir,
So, if you're looking at technology on the left side of the slide, you have the technology initiatives, although they are not fully listed out. And on the right hand side, you have essentially broadly the sustainability initiatives. Now
sir,
comes the human interface. As I said, India is willing to push for greater contribution and participation in the global seafaring pool and for employment in the maritime sector.
sir,
So, capacity building towards what you had rightly mentioned as just transition in
sir,
maritime becomes extremely important. The first step that we are looking at is essentially the safety culture. So safety standards, we go by what we call Suraksha Sarva Pratham, safety before everything else.
exactly,
India is working towards embedding this in the entire initiative that has to be taken for training, for certification, and for ensuring that a seafarer or any other participant, be it a port worker, a stevedore, or anybody in any other part of the maritime domain, is fully imbibed with the risk free and the total compliant system to ensure safety always remains first. The second issue that we are working on is re-engineering the individual or building the capacities inherently and making the person strong from inside. One initiative is the Sagar Mein Yog. We have a
sir,
5,000-year-old heritage, and under Sagar Mein Yog, we are bringing in the 10 foundational pillars which constitute the well-being for one individual, be it emotional wellness, be it economic wellness. When somebody joins fresh as a seafarer, you tell him that someday you will also come on shore. So when you come on shore, how will you search for a job? What will be the skill sets you will have? When you're on board, what kind of leadership will you have? Is it enough that you join as a seafarer and then want to purchase a BMW? Or is it enough that you basically, when you are on shore, how do you ensure your financial security? How do you contribute as an effective and a stable and progressive element of society? How do you contribute to your own environmental wellness, your own intellectual wellness, your own cultural wellness? And how do you ensure your workspace is free from any pain, discomfort, strain, stress, and tension? The other part is Sagar Mein Samman, where this is about gender inclusion and equality at sea, whether it is a
good,
male or it is a female. Our systems will have to be ensured so that a woman working in the maritime, either on a ship or in any other career, feels completely secure, feels free to express her will, and feels honored and respected by her male colleagues. We have also done several welfare initiatives. A 24/7 grievance helpline has been brought in.
good, sir. That's really commendable.
Facilitating immigration has been brought in. The entire DG shipping, from a regulator to a facilitator and a guardian and trustee for each seafarer, ship managing company, RPSL. This is the journey which, under the Honorable Prime Minister's guidance, is being taken forward. The Honorable Prime Minister had directed move from regulatory compliances and certifications to trust-based regulatory and compliance frameworks, and imbibe in all your processes ease of doing business. These are our guiding beacons, and we are basically working towards that to ensure a just transition for our seafarers and participants in the maritime domain.
That's really great, sir. That's really great and very insightful things you have mentioned, sir. And one more thing, sir. Actually, I'm here in Uttar Pradesh, and from speaking from here in Uttar Pradesh, we often look ocean pollution as a coastal issue. However, we very well know that there is direct link between surface to sea connection. and the microplastics and waste what actually enters into our great inland rivers like Gangas and others, they ultimately come to the seas and ocean, and they are it severely impacting the marine carbon sequestration and biodiversity. How do you view that role of inland states like Uttar Pradesh in checking this river to ocean kind of pollution pipeline, and how can we build a unified national awareness on this? Because people here in plain areas actually feel that they are far away from the ocean, and there is that they are doing nothing with that coastal areas and other seas and oceans. So what do you suggest, sir? What kind of unified kind of awareness, national awareness, we can generate from for all the conscious citizen, and for the, from all the all of these people, citizens who are contributing to the negatively, adversely contributing to the pollution of the our seas and ocean from the surface.
Sir, you are privileged to be there in Uttar Pradesh, the land where the Holy Mother Ganges flows through. We have the Kumbh, which cleanses not just the environment but the body and soul.
Sir,
महाकुंभ में अगर आप
you say
विसर्जन लेते हैं,
mother nature, yes, sir, sir,
so the biggest thing is just as you take care for a mother,
sir,
similarly we need to take care of Mother Ganges and all the other rivers, all the other inland water bodies by ensuring that we do not discharge waste into them. Unfortunately, due to whatever reasons of huge density of population, we are doing raw sewage discharge into our rivers.
sir,
Due to industries located near the river buffer zone for easy availability of water, we have situations where untreated industrial waste or effluents are also directly discharged into the rivers.
sir,
The water quality health is seriously impacted, and we have to ensure a revival of all our river systems. All rivers gain their life from the mother ocean. All rivers flow to meet the ocean. The oceans then ensures due precipitation by cloud formation, and this is how the divine cycle of life-giving water is there globally. How clean we keep our rivers also means that much of a lesser waste discharge into the oceans. How we ensure lesser disposal of waste in the oceans will ensure that we take care of the ocean. India is blessed with 11,000 kilometers of coastline. We have to involve all the coastal communities and all the people, Indians, who believe in holy rivers, who ensure that by their faith they dedicate themselves to keep the rivers clean. A similar dedication and a devotion towards basically keeping our water bodies and the ocean clean needs to emerge. Technically and scientifically, we have to now work on aspects such as acceding to the London Protocol, which allows for an approved list for reverse dumping in the oceans. We need to take on a war footing addressing the ecologically extremely fragile situation in certain areas of the Indian Ocean, like the Bay of Bengal. We already are working with the Ministry of Environment and Forest on coastal zonation, hazard, on the air and water quality, and also one big appeal that has been made by the Honorable Prime Minister is something the people of Uttar Pradesh can sincerely contribute, which is Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam. Plantations by basically every individual caring for these saplings, taking these equations forward means each sapling growing up tomorrow is an investment as a carbon sink. It provides basically life-giving oxygen, purifies and lessens the particulate emissions which are there, and also aids in precipitation and carbon sequestration as a carbon sink. These aspects are how I believe each and every one of us individuals, और विशेषकर आपने यूपी की बात करी तो क्योंकि मेरा जन्म स्थल भी यूपी का ही है, so it touched that chord, and I sincerely appeal to all my brothers and sisters there, they should आगे बढ़ के आना चाहिए.
जी बिल्कुल सर। पर्यावरण दिवस भी मनाया गया सर अभी 3 दिन पहले, और वहाँ भी प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर का जो अपील है एक पेड़ माँ के नाम, इस पे काफ़ी कुछ कैंपेन हमारे यहाँ उत्तर प्रदेश में भी हुआ। और हमारे जो उत्तर प्रदेश में हमारे मिनिस्टर हैं डॉक्टर अरुण सक्सेना जी, मिनिस्टर ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट यहाँ उत्तर प्रदेश में, तो उनसे भी मेरी कल बात हो रही थी, और काफ़ी कुछ अच्छा कुछ इनिशिएटिव सर यहाँ से भी लिया जा रहा है। और lastly sir, actually we as the maritime sector adopts new technologies, you have already mentioned these things, and alternative fuels are being used and greener operational practices out there. What steps are we being taken to prepare Indian seafarers and maritime professionals for this transition? You have already mentioned these things, and you have already mentioned what they can do. But now, actually, to conclude this thing, sir, actually today is World Ocean Day, and you are well knowing that United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development is ongoing, and it is just 4 years ahead. It is going to be concluded. What are the key messages you would like to say to our audiences across India and around the globe? What the people who are watching us, sir? What your message on ocean governance, especially ocean governance, marine pollution prevention, and role of the blue economy in India's future development? What the common a layman, a common citizen of India can contribute towards the noble cause what the esteemed Ministry of Shipping is taking, sir.
Sir, we have the United Nations as a partner in terms of furthering what has truly been taken forward as to why oceans need to be sustained and they need to be nurtured. The entire sustainable development goal number 14 is the crux of how we address our ocean governance paradigm as everyone basically grows globally. And our commitment is to ensure SDG 14, just as all the other sustainable development goals, work cognitively together for a better future. And all efforts are being invested towards that direction.
Great. But sometimes, sir, what actually, before we conclude, sir, sometimes I see that there is a direct relation between sustainable development goal number 13 and 14. Because the ocean and seas are the major producers of oxygen through the drifting flight of phytoplanktons over the surface of, and they also stabilize the global warming and fixing the carbon in that. So I think people must know that what they are contributing right here in the plains, and that will ultimately going to damage the seas and ocean, and this oxygen supplement, which is the very breath of our all the living creatures, and that must be known actually, sir, because we are planting trees, we are doing efforts in these ways, but just having some consciousness kind of my mindset, that will help a lot, I think, sir. So if
I fully
anything more
endorse.
I would like to add, sir, on this discussion, because the time is approaching us actually.
Yeah, I fully endorse what you have said. SDG 13, essentially for the combating climate change, including other SDGs such as SDG 7 on basically the alternate fuel framework, also basically precipitate what is the cumulative and sort of salutatory effect which has for SDG 14. So all of these essentially are interlinked. Now, the United Nations framework on the Convention on Climate Change is something that India is engaging with. India believes in five basic principles. The
Sir,
Honorable Prime Minister has already mentioned the Panchamrit and the net zero by 2070, but the five basic principles are: number one, any global system that is emerging, such as the Green Fuel Index based Tier 1, Tier 2 compliances for green shipping, should essentially be based on the fundamental principle of CBDRC. That is, you are basically agreeing to it, but you are doing it based on your respective capabilities. The second part is whatever global mechanism emerges, because in shipping itself, you have got technical measures for energy efficiencies, you have got operational measures and compliances such as SOx, NOx, and carbon emissions. You also are having now the fuel standards and emission trading schemes, say for instance in Europe, etc. And the IMO was waiting for a consensus on a global mechanism, which was to bring in market-based measures, which eventually would result in a net zero fund and offtake thereof. India
sir.
is stating that such kind of a governance framework should have consensus globally. It should be transparent. It should have specific provision for developing nations and for small and SIDS, which are basically your small island developing states, and also for necessary provisions for the human capital that is essentially involved here. The fund offtake should again provide for specific dispensation for developing economies and for third world nations, including SIDS. And this is something that India, in the five active principles of engagement, is doing it at its own lead as the stable voice of sanity and being the largest democracy globally.
Sir.
We are committed to the sustainable, secure, safe, and smart shipping, and that is what DG Shipping does as its mandate. We also appeal to all who are basically your patrons and to all our viewers that they participate in supporting this national effort to conserve, preserve, and ensure a better planet for tomorrow.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Jagannathan sir. Your profound insights today have shed immense light on how India is charting a sustainable path forward for our ocean, right from inland waters to the deep seas. Your words will undoubtedly going to inspire millions of our viewers, especially the youth, because the next generation, the planet is going to in their hand to step up for the marine conservation, I hope. And we are deeply grateful to you, sir, and for taking out your valuable time for our exceptionally busy schedule to grace this World Ocean Day special telecast of Green Talk with Anil Pratap Singh. Thank you once again, sir. Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
sir.
much. Jai Hind.
And and to our viewers, thank you for watching. Let us all pledge today to protect our blue lungs, our oceans, starting from our own local water bodies. Keep watching Munsif TV. Jai Hind.